So in the last video, we had a look at how to schedule a Teams meeting in Outlook. Today, we'll be looking at how to do it in Teams itself. So let's go ahead and open Microsoft Teams, and we're going to head straight for our calendar. Now, it's very similar to Outlook where there's two ways to schedule the meeting. We can double click on the date and time we want to schedule it. So let's say Friday at 11 a.m. Or we can go ahead and click on New Meeting and just change the date and time within the meeting pop-up window itself. From here, we can set the expected length of the meeting. So let's say it's going to take an hour and a half. Now up the top here, we have a few options. We can change the time zone, which is handy if you have people working overseas. We can change the response options. So right now we're allowing forwarding, which means people can forward the meeting to somebody else. We've also set it to request responses, so we know who's attending the meeting and who can't make it. Now this one's a little tricky. So if we hit require registration, right now we've got it set to none. But if we change it to for people within our organization or for everyone, if you have outsiders coming to the meeting, then it changes the meeting itself into an event or a webinar. And as you can see, it changes the settings quite a bit. Now, it's important to note that if it is changed to a webinar, then your attendees have to register. Otherwise, they will not be able to access the event. So if we click on here, we can look at what the registration form looks like. Another little side note, if you do add any presenters to your webinar, then they do not have to register their attendance. But for now, we just want to schedule a meeting. So let's change it back to none. All right, so let's go ahead and name this meeting. So down below, you can add any required attendees. So if you like, you can add their names or email addresses. I'm not going to bother just for the moment, and I'll explain why a little bit later. Now, once again, we can change the settings here to have this meeting repeat every so often if you would like. Now, say you only want to add a specific group or department to your meeting. We can do that by adding a channel. And you know what? I think this meeting is only relevant for the marketing team, so I'm just going to invite them. And as we covered in our last video, you can add a location and you can also type any details about the meeting if you'd like to here. Now, you might remember this feature from the previous video as well. Outlook and Teams both have scheduling assistant, so you can click on that and double check your calendar to see if there's any other meetings planned within that time. But there's not, so we're all good to go. Now, if we hit send, then look, that meeting's already popped up on our calendar. And if we hit Teams and we go to sales and then the marketing channel, we can see that that meeting has been posted there to the marketing team. This is why channels are so important, to make sure that your Teams isn't getting clogged up and people aren't being invited to meetings that they don't need to be. Now let's click on it again. Say there's somebody else that we want at this meeting who's not part of the marketing channel. We can go here and copy link, and then we can send that link as either an email or just go to the chat and type in the recipient's name. And that's it. That's how you schedule a meeting in Microsoft Teams.